Let's go and investigate solving logarithmic equations. All right, let's go and take a look at the last example. This would be the hard one. Once your teacher is kind of like taught through all the lessons, you maybe had like a quiz or some homework, and then what do you know? You get a problem like this. And maybe you've seen a problem like this before in class. Maybe you have not, but let's go and apply everything that we know with solving logarithmic equations to be able to approach this, if it would be something on your test or not. Because yeah, it's a little bit more advanced than the other problems, but it's definitely something that we can tackle. So recognize here I have the natural logarithm. Sometimes that confuses students. But again, a natural logarithm is just like any other logarithm. It has a base e, which is implied instead of a base 10 or a base 5, which we already went through. The next thing is I notice I have the difference of two different logarithms. So again, that reminds me I can use the quotient property of logarithms. So I'm going to work from left to right. Okay, that's very important to work from left to right. So this first example here, whenever you are subtracting two different logarithms, as long as they have the same base, you can rewrite that as a quotient of your arguments. So therefore, I can rewrite this as ln of 3 divided by an x plus 5, and then still I need to subtract that from ln of x. Now again, we can do this again, right? We have the difference of two different logarithms, so again, I can use the quotient. So now I'm going to have ln of 3 over an x plus 5 divided by an x is equal to 0. Now, in this case, ladies and gentlemen, we could go ahead and simplify that, but I'm going to do that at the end once it's outside of the logarithm. You could do it inside, it's perfectly fine. But I think just for explanation's sake, I'm going to leave it on the outside. I want to see, well, how do we get rid of this x's, right? In the previous examples, we always did exponentiating based on the base of what the logarithm was. And again, it's very important to remember the natural logarithm has a base e. So what we're going to want to do in this case is exponentiate both sides with base e. Now this is very helpful because e raised to the 0 power is going to be a 1. Over here, that's just going to eliminate that. So therefore, we're just going to left with the argument, which is 3 all over a x plus 5 divided by an x, and that's going to equal to 1, right? E to the 0 is equal to 1. Now let's go ahead and simplify this. Now technically I have a fraction divided by this variable, okay? So there's a couple different ways we can look at this. The one way I'm going to approach this is say, well, I can rewrite x as x over 1. Then if I want to get rid of this in my denominator, or with dividing by x is really the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal, right? So 1 over x times x is just going to give me 1. And then over here, I just multiply 1 over x times 3 over x plus 5. Again, remember when you're multiplying fractions, you multiply straight across. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So now what I'm going to have is going to be a 3 times a x squared plus a 5x. And again, that is now going to equal to a 1. Now to go ahead and solve this, unfortunately, I got rid of the x out of the argument of the logarithm, but now the x is caught in the denominator. So I got to get it off the denominator. And just like how I got this off the denominator by multiplying by its reciprocal, that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm not going to reciprocate the 3. I just want to get the x's off the denominator. So I'm going to multiply by a 5x or x squared plus 5x over 1. Again, my whole goal here is just to get this off that denominator. Now again, these are actually just going to divide out. But whatever you do on one side, right, remember you have to do on the other side. So I'm going to multiply this by an x squared plus a 5x. Since it's all just multiplied by 1, doesn't really matter. It's just going to be an x squared plus 5x. So therefore I'm left with a 3 equals an x squared plus a 5x. Now I recognize this is a quadratic. Well, ladies and gentlemen, when we're solving quadratics by factoring, quadratic formula, completing the square, we need to set it equal to 0. So this example, unless you're doing complete, I guess you could get away with it. But factoring and quadratic formula, you're going to want to make sure you set it equal to 0. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract a 3 on both sides, and I get 0 is equal to an x squared plus 5x minus 3. Now I want to check quickly in my head as if it's factorable, and unfortunately it is not. So guys, you can see this is a hard example, not because it's really like that crazy difficult, but there's a lot of steps. And when there's a lot of steps, there's a lot of opportunities for you to make mistakes. So just make sure you're taking some time when you're working through problems like this to slow down, double check to make sure you did the correct step, and then work through it. But we can definitely do the quadratic formula. It should be something that you have memorized in this case, or at least I would expect my students to know, but I might also write it on the board to help them out. So x equals the opposite of b, so it's going to be -5, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is your 5 squared, minus a 4 times a times c, which is -3, all divided by 2 times a. Now, even though I'm plugging in 1, you're like, why are you writing in the 1? I like to do that for accounting purposes. Remember, I just talked about making mistakes? By writing everything in there, this is just a way for me that helps me be able to double check my work to make sure I didn't like miss something or forget something. All right, let's go and see what we get here. So 5 squared is a 25, -4 times -3 is a positive 12, 25 plus 12 is going to be a 37. square root of 37 divided by 2. And then wait, ladies and gentlemen, we need to make sure we can check for extraneous solutions. And I might say, Mr. McLogan, I don't even know what this decimal equivalent is. Well, yeah, if you have a calculator, go ahead and find the decimal equivalent, right? But if you don't have a calculator, let's just go and do some understanding of what makes values extraneous for logarithms. We can't make them the argument to be 0, and we can't make the argument to be negative, right? It has to be greater than 0 to make the argument equal to 0. So 3, we're good here. But we see here, anything that's going to be an x or that's equal to a -5 here, or less than -5 here is not going to work. If I look at this, square root of 35 or square root of 36, guys, is roughly going to be like 6, right? 6 point something. If I take a -5 and I subtract that from another 6, that's like a -11.2 or something, and then divide by 2, it's, let's say, 11 or 5 point something. Well, anyways, it's going to be a negative number, right? So therefore, that's going to be an extraneous. You cannot plug in a negative number in for this x. Okay. Now the other one is going to be a positive, right? Because if I have -5 plus, it's a 6, right? If this is 6 point something, that's going to turn that into a positive, divide by 2. It's still going to be a positive number, and then we're adding 5. So the positive version of this, so x equals a -5 plus square root of 37 divided by 2, that is going to be our solution. Whereas x equals a -5 minus a square root of 37 divided by 2, that is going to be our extraneous solution. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to see more examples of me solving logarithms or exponential equations, or even just some practice work, then check out the description I have for you in this video or the next video I have for you here. Cheers.